And now we get a chance to talk to a man who can give us some insight, some information. A man who is in charge, a Brave through and through. 20 years with the Atlanta Braves, and we want him to be here another 20 years. He is president and CEO of our Atlanta Braves, Derek Schiller, who joins us here in the locker room on the Fan 680 93.7 FM. I have to do it. I know you won't make me do it, but Mr. President, thank you for joining us here in the locker room.
Thank you. Was that walk-up music, by the way, that you guys just did for me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive.
That's called presidential.
Yeah, I like it.
Name of that track, an Atlanta group, and that's exactly what you do. You represent Atlanta.
Thank you.
Good to see you. I saw you for Media Day, and Jennifer is here, the Senior Vice President of Communications. And what I want to tell you is you guys do it first class. Everything from tours for the fans, tours for the media, information. Take us through the think tank in the offseason. We talked to Double A about him putting the team together, but take us through the process of the think tank when you guys have to always, keep things that are positive going, but also look for ways to improve every single facet of an experience for an Atlanta Braves fan.
Well, thanks. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned Alex and the team because you really get a lot of inspiration from them. I mean, as great as they have been over the last several years, continually doing the things that they're doing on the field. I think it inspires us off the field to try to do that much more off the field and really make sure that our environment here at Truist Park is the best it can be. The way in which we hopefully warmly embrace our fans is the best that it can be, and do a lot of things to continually try to innovate our organization, create the best experience in baseball. That's what we're after every single day. And obviously, we all still have the singular goal of trying to win the World Series. That's what everybody is motivated by.
It's amazing because you think of, and this is what I saw in an article, and I read you guys are upgrading some stuff. I don't want you to talk about what's going on at the stadium and people can do, but it's like 7 years in, we're already upgrading. It's like just staying on top. Like you talked about, it's got to be a championship organization from top to bottom. For sure. Yeah, you mentioned some of the upgrades, and obviously when you look at the ballpark, although it's just 7 years old, I think one of the things that you find, especially after operating in it for just a few years, is that fans experience baseball today or want to a little bit differently than perhaps 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And so we're just trying to respond to that. The ballpark overall is a fantastic ballpark. I think everybody that's come here would state that. But we're looking for ways to try to create more social experiences. We've created some new hospitality spaces. We got a brand new bar, a 60-foot, 6-inch bar out in left field. That's pretty cool.
Like that
a new
idea.
Beer garden. Can you sense a little theme here about what we're doing?
See what you did there.
But the right field patio upstairs is, we'll have a beer garden up there. Brought to you by Blue Moon. We'll have 24 different types of beers, many of which you can only get at Truist Park. And then just expansion of some different ways that you can sit and watch the game or stand and watch the game if that's what your desire is. The Lexus boxes are something that's brand new. It's a product that we, in effect, just invented here, where at the top of what was previously the terrace level, the middle level of Truist Park, took out a couple of rows there and created these sort of semi-exclusive suites, which I just toured just a couple days ago. They're done, they're ready to go, and they look fantastic. It's a really cool product, about 18 of those.
That was one of the things on the tour, that the new suites you had to take out, and that was the question, did you take anything out? You made modifications without removing, so where the suites are, where you come up from your seat and maybe buy a beer from the stand, you just relocated those things.
That's right.
You didn't take anything out of the ballpark.
That's right, that's right. Again, when you operate in it for a number of years, you start to understand how the ballpark flows. And, one of our original architects on the ballpark, way back 10 years ago, I remember him describing the ballpark environment. And this is unique, I think, to baseball more so than any other sport, is a ballpark is full of lots of distinct neighborhoods. And so what you're trying to create inside of a ballpark is just the fit and finish of those neighborhoods. So one way to sort of talk about this, right, is we're creating more and different unique neighborhoods inside the ballpark. And, ballparks, especially with a 9-inning game, you tend to walk around a little bit, get out of your seat, experience different things. And that's, I think, one of the great things that people understand and do here at the ballpark, starting with the Battery. They come and experience the different neighborhoods of the Battery and then wander in and see some great things in the ballpark.
President and CEO of the Atlanta Braves, Derek Schiller, joining us here in the locker room on the Fan 680 93.7 FM.
Derek, you talk about the way guys consume games different than 10, 20. Our generation, it was sit down, you didn't move for 9 innings. How much do you take stuff from the fans? Like, do you do surveys with them to potentially know what they want more and maybe less of at the ballpark?
Yeah, for sure. We're doing a survey basically every single game.
Okay.
Some entry or exit surveys. We do some online surveys. So we're constantly trying to poll our fans and understand what their likes or dislikes might be and refine things. We've got a great team of people that are looking at all that information on a regular basis. And then, you're also trying to go around the country or even the world and see what are the newest, greatest venues out there and trying to draw some inspiration. I remember when we were building Truist Park, right before we actually put shovel to ground, we actually did a tour of about 20, 30 different sports venues from across the country. And you get inspiration even from venues that aren't necessarily in baseball. I remember, for instance, AT&T Stadium was brand new at the time. And I remember going in there and they created this concept, a club within a club, where they had, a very special club and then outside of that, a larger club. That actually was the inspiration in some ways for our Delta Club and then the Truist Club. If people have experienced that, you go through the Delta Club to get to the Truist Club. It's that club within a club concept. That idea was really born from them.
How often do you, Derek, get feedback from players that come from different organizations or maybe aspiring to what this ballpark should look like? Do you feed off of those guys? And do you welcome their opinions, and how much do you welcome it?
Well, players will remark about a lot of different things. And one of the great things is for our sport, I think this is probably true for most, is the families come and experience the games. They're there for 81 or some number of games watching their significant others, and so they're giving us feedback. We actually have a very specific family program that we do. Started several years ago, again with Alex's inspiration, really trying to not just think about the player but also the player's family. And so we have a whole program that we do with player families, trying to get their input about what their experience is at the game. But then players remark about all kinds of things. The game presentation, for example, what kind of music. We were talking about my walk-up music. You can imagine guys have all kinds of views of what their music is. It seems like the pitchers, even though I think they feel like they're sliding a little bit because they don't have that walk-up music, they're always looking for, what is going to be my song, what is going to be my video for when I come in. And we really do try to respond to that and try to create the best experience for them. Because, you're trying to amp them up as much as you're trying to amp the crowd up. President
and CEO of the Atlanta Braves, Derek Schiller, joining us here in the locker room. Revenue, business, booming.
Business is good.
In the Battery, Atlanta. How many? We're seeing the opportunity for the gathering at South Forsyth. We're seeing other sporting entities all over the country try to emulate what you guys have done in the Battery. How many times do you guys get pulled aside about the marvels of what goes on in here when the Braves are playing and when they're out on the road?
There's rarely a week that goes by that you're not getting another team from all across the country, the world, asking about the Battery, wanting to come tour. We probably had, if we were to put a count on it, we probably had 300 or 400 sports organizations, pro as well as collegiate, come through here and look at how we've really done a sports venue anchored mixed-use development and the types of ways that we've built all this together. Last year we had 10 million plus people come through the Battery. It's just one example, right? So you have 3 million of those that are coming for the Braves games. We had about 3.2 to be exact. And so there's a whole lot of other things that people are coming here to do on a regular basis. You guys work and come here all the time, obviously, so you know what I'm talking about. That real estate and how to get that mix right is really difficult. And, part of the secret sauce that I think makes a Braves game so great, but also makes a non-Braves game really enjoyable around here as well. We've got pretty much every single square footage here is leased. As you know, a building right next door going up with Truist Securities, their new tower, that's going to be the newest addition to the Battery. And then across the street, we're in partnership with a development called the Henry, which will be right across the street, have some additional apartments, hotel, and even some other mixed-use development that's happening right there. They'll have a bridge that spans the Windy Ridge Parkway over there. So really, really great stuff going on here. And, the fans have responded, and obviously all of this goes to the benefit of the team. We've said this from day one, that part of the reason why we did this is create a consistent revenue stream for the organization. And you've seen the evidence of that each year is we're putting more and more money back into the player payroll so that we're trying to support a better and better team each year. And I think suffice to say, I think we're doing a pretty good job of that right now.
President and CEO of the Atlanta Braves, Derek Schiller, joining us here in the locker room. You've been adamant and upfront and interviewed about wagering, the potential of wagering in baseball. Adam Silver has been really the one commissioner who's just been, beating the drums for years. He likes it because he says, look, if you're in a bar and it's the third quarter, you get there, you'll stay to the fourth quarter and you'll come in with your buddies. When do you think it could happen? And politicians have to politic, people have to vote. It's out of a lot of hands. But you think by the end of the decade, what is the time frame where you think wagering could come to baseball and people could add to their experience?
Come to Atlanta, you mean?
Well, in the state of Georgia,
right,
which would allow you to wager on baseball.
Legally, yes. I think the key word there is legally.
Legally wager in Georgia.
Look, we just finished, as you know, the current 2024 legislative session. We worked really hard with the politicians to try to create an opportunity for sports wagering to be done and legalized here in the state. There's about 40 states that currently have it legalized. So I don't like the fact that Georgia's kind of lagging behind the other states. As a sports team, we look at it, there's a number of reasons why we want to see it happen. I'll start with the integrity of the game. When somebody puts a wager on a game legally, we know what's happening. And so we can track the trends, some of the issues that might come up. And we know who's doing good things or perhaps who's doing some bad things. When it's all illegal, we have no access, no eyes into that whatsoever. The second thing is it obviously creates some furthering, in our opinion, of some fan engagement. When you've seen this legalized in other states, what happens is there's a lot of these like micro betting types of opportunities that go on with the game. So, you're betting on whether this player is going to have, a home run or a pitcher is going to have a certain number of strikeouts or what have you. And you just get a little bit more attached to the game, a little bit more attached to that particular situation, which, furthers somebody's eyes and following of the game, of the team. And we think that's overall a good thing. And let's be also clear about it. The fact is, it's going on right now today illegally, and so the state of Georgia is not receiving the tax dollars for it. I'm incredibly frustrated that we couldn't get it done. It got out of the Senate with a constitutional amendment, which we think is one pathway that worked pretty well. That means it would have had to go to a referendum. The voters would have had the opportunity to vote on it this coming November. The House just could not get their act together and figure this out. Marcus Wiedauer was on, I think, your air and talked a little bit about it. One of the sponsors of our bill did a phenomenal job, but just couldn't get it out of the House. And it's I sit here another year being frustrated, but we're going to be okay. We're going to live another day, and I guess we'll try again.
We were all frustrated when we lost the All-Star game a couple of years ago, but now it's coming back 2025. Talk about that process to get it back here at Truist Park, where it should have been.
Well, we never wanted it to leave, obviously, and we made that very clear in some of our statements and thoughts immediately afterwards. We didn't think that decision was a good decision, but the fact is, as soon as the decision was made and taken away from us, we said we want to get back in the queue and try to get it back. And the earliest we could get it back was next year. We're really happy with that. I think it gives us the opportunity to showcase Atlanta, showcase what we were talking about earlier, the Truist Park and the Battery. And all of this entire region. Remember, like when an all-star game comes here, you're doing things that are beyond just the ballpark or the Battery. You're doing things that are encompassing all of the city, the metro area, and we're excited about that. We've got a lot of great plans for that. So we'll be releasing more information with you guys on what we're doing. Couldn't be more thrilled to have the world coming here in about a year's time.
The Braves Country Baseball and Softball organization you guys launched recently, youth organization, provides league and all-star tournament play for kids 5 to 12. I'm coaching in one of those leagues over in Morgan Falls, little 4.5, 5 years old. So talk about why that was important for you to be involved in that and how big this thing can be.
Well, you were asking, do we listen to our fans earlier, and we were talking a little bit about that. This is a scenario where we're listening to coaches and parents in our communities, and they were reaching out to us saying, is there a way for the Braves to get a little bit closer connection to youth baseball and softball? And as you guys probably know, especially who have kids that have played in youth baseball, softball, there's a little bit of privatization, I'll call it, that has happened in that. And as a result of that, there's kind of these mixing of different organizations. And I think it's at times the players' best interests were not always at heart. And rest assured, when the Braves are going to be doing this, we're going to be first and foremost about the growth of the game and the growth of the player in that game, doing it the right way. Greg McMichael, former player, is leading that effort for us. We've had terrific sign-up on a number of different baseball programs, Finn, like you've been involved with. But it's not just here in Georgia. The hope, really, is that we take all of Brave Country, the 6 states, and we ultimately grow it to include all 6 states. I'm really, really excited about where we are in that prospect right now, and have had phenomenal success, largely because of Greg and his whole team.
You're always dapperly dressed, but I noticed today you got the kicks to match. Went with the nice tennis shoes, and you said something as you were walking out. You said StockX. Are you a StockX guy? Are you like literally on the shoe website?
What is StockX,
So
by the way?
StockX is a high-end shoe reselling spot.
It's
where
for
you can
sneakerheads.
Yeah, it's for sneakerheads.
This is, so this is my street credibility starting to come out here.
100%.
Okay. I mean, somewhere along the way, somebody's going to be, what the heck is going on here? Look, there is a thing going on in our office, and I'm not going to say that I let it because I don't think I did, but there, somewhere along the way over the past year or two, some kids started wearing, I call them kids, some of the younger staff members started wearing some sneakers, and I thought it looked pretty good. Yeah, I got a sport coat on right now, but I have some of my Nike kicks here, and I think you could do it right. We work in sports, right?
So exactly.
It's part of what we do, but the inspiration from those guys has led to, there's now people up and down our hallways that are putting out their newest and best offerings.
That's hilarious.
I did get a tip that StockX might be the place to look. I'm not endorsing them, but I did get my last pair from them.
Well, you guys certainly are mavericks when you talk about all of these souls that come through the turnstiles. You've expanded the team store. 1,500 more square feet is wide open. We saw that on the tour. You guys are going to be handing out jerseys to people standing in line to come to a Braves game.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you guys could do, but I know whatever you do is going to be great.
Well, thanks. We're trying really hard to continue to make the experience as a Braves fan the best that it could possibly be in all of sports, whether you're coming down to the ballpark or not. We're doing a lot of things that I think are inspirational. I really love the way in which we're diving into some of our community efforts. Just by one example, the work that we're doing with our Atlanta Braves Foundation, coupled with the Henry Louis Aaron Fund, and we didn't touch on that, but obviously you got the 50th anniversary of Hank Aaron's hitting home run number 715 coming up on April 8th. We're going to be doing a big celebration there. We went to the Atlanta History Center and said, hey, is there a way that we can actually create some permanence to this celebration? So we've got, the start of that is there'll be an exhibit at the Atlanta History Center that launches next week. Incredibly excited about that. All of that, by the way, one of the reasons we're trying to do that is we're trying to continue to grow the legacy that Hank had while he was here, and really further those efforts, both in the growth of players on the field, but also the things that we could do out in the community. And I could think of no better inspiration than Hank Aaron to help us lead that.
Yeah, real quick, if you didn't hear earlier, if you attended the game, there's a bunch of stuff going on for that April 8th ceremony, the 50th anniversary celebration of Hank's 715th home run. If you did attend the game at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium and witnessed Hank's record-breaking home run on April 8, 1974, send an email to hank715@braves.com. Let them know. If you can prove you were there with a photo, a ticket stub, whatever you got, you'll be eligible to receive a pair of tickets for you and a guest to be there for the 50th anniversary.
And I heard there was, I think the attendance at Atlanta Fulton County was something like 54,000 that night. But I've talked to 500,000 people that say we're there. So
That's hilarious.
we might actually get a bigger crowd than we're
It's
anticipating.
AI technology.
Oh, yeah.
Come
Some people born in 1980 happen to be in attendance that night.
That's right.
Well, thanks for your gracious time. Fun stuff coming. We have a fun team.
Yep.
Chris Sale now a part of it. Jesse Chavez is back. Ronald Acuna Jr. could be back-to-back MVP, or maybe Michael Harris II with it. Who knows? Fun team and fun times coming, and we always appreciate it when you come in.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Thanks very much. Obviously, today's game, 2 o'clock. Hopefully we get it in. Some crappy weather in Chicago, but we're going to try to get it in. And it is worth mentioning, you guys do a terrific job of representing this organization. I want to thank each and every one of you, the entire 680 organization. We have the largest radio network in all of professional sports. We're over 170, 180 affiliates throughout the Southeast. And I can't thank you guys enough. It starts right here at this table, and appreciate what you do to represent the Braves. And let's see what we can do to try to represent all of our fans and hopefully win another World Series this year. That's what it's all about.
Sounds like a plan, Mr. President. There he is, our president and CEO of the Atlanta Braves, Derek Schiller, joining us here in the locker room on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM.